In this video, I'm going to discuss 9 Ableton organization tips to help speed up your efficiency and workflow. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome to my video on 9 Ableton organization tips that will change your life. So, some of these are basic, some of these are a bit more advanced, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but I hope you get something out of this video, so let's get into it. The first tip I want to give you is the sidebar. Now, if you notice, I have a lot of folders set up here where I have selected sounds that I use a lot and created, preset go-tos where I need to go for these. So this is a great thing to do. You can have folders of your favorite packs. All you need to do is just use this add folder link here, and you can pick folders out of your sound library that will literally, let's bring this over. So you could just pick folders that you want to appear in the sidebar. And the great thing about that is it's fast, easy access. You can get to things quickly. So if you use a lot of things often, I recommend that you set up your sidebar and customize it by using this add folder button here. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is Ableton Collections. And I've renamed my collections to have tools, instruments and synths, EQs, dynamics, effects, and my UAD plugins. And I have one extra one here. And what you can do is you can just right click on a plugin when you're in your plugins list and say you're looking at, anything, and you right click on it, you can drop it into a collection. And this is a great way to organize some plugins like your go-tos. You can organize them in any way you want, but you get 7 different collections, all color coded, and you can drop them into multiple collections. Like you could drop this into an EQ and a dynamics if you wanted to. And then to remove them, you just deselect. So it's a very cool way to organize these plugins and just have fast access to things you use, especially if you have a lot of plugins or if you don't like digging through the companies like this. This organizes them by plugin type. So I suggest you do this to your Ableton plugin library. Okay, the next one here I want to talk about is templates. So if you've set something up and you like how it works, you can just go up to File and you can save this as a template. And what that will allow you to do is it will drop them in this templates folder. Now you can also save it as a default template. So that's the one that loads up every time you open up Ableton. So you can see my default or default live set, and I have different templates here that I use for various things. This is my main production template. And so it's great. Some of these come with Ableton and you might open them up and check them out, but templates can get you started. You could have, say, some of your favorite sounds loaded up. Maybe you have a kick and a clap pattern preset with the Midi already in place. Maybe you have some return tracks already set up and ready to go. Templates are huge. I talk about them a lot. That's a great tip for Ableton. Okay, getting into some more detailed stuff. Let's say that you like having an EQ on your audio track, and if you saw my last video, I'll leave you a link where I talk about the pan knob, and you switch to split stereo pan mode. Well, I've got some news for you. If you like having your audio tracks like this, you could right click on it and set as your default audio track. And it will overwrite what's already there. But if I make a new audio track, you could see now that it's defaulted with these same things. So you could have all your favorite stuff on your audio tracks. So this is called default audio tracks in Ableton. Go in there, set up your audio tracks the way you like to work. Okay, the next one, same thing with MIDI. I just hit Command-Shift-T for a new MIDI track, and you have the same thing. You have a default MIDI track. Maybe you want that EQ on the MIDI track. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want something else. Maybe you do something all the time. So it'll just save you that extra step, and you could just save the same thing there, and it will overwrite the preset MIDI track, and you will always load like that. Now, I don't recommend always putting EQ on everything. I made a video on that. I'll leave you a link. Check that out. You don't need to high pass everything. That's a very common myth. But, if you want to have an EQ that maybe you have bypassed and you just need to turn it on when you need to do something, it'll save you that step of going to the EQ section or finding that plugin and dropping it in. It's just a faster way of working and get you there, but it will take up more CPU by adding a bunch of unnecessary plugins. So something to think about. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is using auxiliary sends. If I hit Command Alt T, I'll add another auxiliary send there, and you can see that this is another way to add effects. Now, a lot of people that I see using Ableton will just see this audio track, they might just put, say, this reverb right on the audio track and then use the mix knob. That works, but you know, you're gonna have a lot of the same potential reverbs on a lot of tracks, and you don't get as much automation control. With a send, you're going to be able to automate the send level. Now, I made a whole video on this, so I'm not going to get into the details on how this works, but check out my video on auxiliary sends. It's a really good one if you're inexperienced with using auxiliary sends. Okay, the next thing I want to get into is Ableton Markers. So if you go up here at the top of the timeline, you can see if you right click with your mouse, you can add a locator. And this will allow you to add a marker. And I can rename that, and I can say intro, and then maybe here is my breakdown or my bridge, or here's my chorus. And so what this allows you to do is really organize the timeline and kind of see where you are in your song. As your song gets bigger, you might want to have these, and you can also hit this little triangle and it'll be a play button. So using markers in Ableton is a great way to have efficiency and speed up your workflow. Okay, here's an oddball one, but you may have never seen people do this. You could also use a MIDI track, just a blank one with nothing on it, and insert a MIDI clip and use this almost as notes. Take notes here. You know, maybe you want to leave a note that says, for this section, I need to work on this one. Work here. Oh, sorry. So when you make the MIDI clip, you need to hit Command R, and then you'll get the cursor. Work on this section. And I'm not a big user of this because I have a fast workflow, but I've seen people do this, and it's a really cool way, and you could just drop that down and look at that. I mean, it's a cool way to leave yourself some reminders. Maybe if you don't want to forget things, or if you're a beginner producer and you're not sure what to do, you leave yourself a note for a certain section, and with the markers, it makes it really easy to see what's going on. Okay, last but not least, if you're the type of producer that needs to share a lot of sessions, it can get a little big if you're freezing tracks and doing various things. There's a faster way to do that. And if you go over to your view and file manager, and I know you can't see that because my screen's a little wide, but just click on the view menu at the top and hit file manager, and you can see here that you have some different options. You're probably familiar with this if you've lost some sounds, where you see the big red bar at the bottom and it'll say manage my set. That's the file management window where we are now. But what you could do is you could manage your project, and then there's a folder here or a drop down that says packing, and you can create this pack to easily archive or share it, and it'll literally consolidate everything into one little file as almost an Ableton zip file. And then you could just send that one file along. And that's kind of a hidden gem about Ableton that a lot of people don't know. So if you're the type of producer that needs to send sessions back and forth, or you just want to collaborate, packing your Ableton session is a good way to do it. Thank you for watching this video on 9 Ableton tips on organization. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. As always, drop any questions down below in the comments section. My name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and have a great day.